Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This monument, which we are about to unveil, is not to glorify war. War is inglorious, whether you are victor or vanquished, ever inglorious. Nor is it jingoistic or, for that matter, pious adulation of the bravery, the courage, the selflessness, the sacrifice of those Africans who perished in those 2 world wars, but rather it is a reminder, A, that this monument is just under 100 years in the making and should have been here and in Liverpool and in Cardiff and in Manchester and in Glasgow at least since the beginning of the 1920s. And to say that is not to diminish or detract from the memory of those who gave their lives in those 2 world wars, but rather it is to remind us that we, and particularly the Nubian Jak Community Trust, took the initiative to ensure that the contribution of all those was not erased from British history and from the history of the world. It was, after all, a bare 60 years since the abolition of slavery on the plantations of the West Indies that 16,000 West Indians joined the British West Indies Regiment and came to support the war effort. After abolition, Britannia ruled the waves, and the British, from a point of moral high ground, sought to ensure that the European neighbors were not continuing the trade. But simultaneously, they started the scramble for Africa. And so it's not surprising that that which we are doing here today was done elsewhere, by the French particularly, and that French and Belgians were able to encourage Africans, as the British did in the Caribbean, to join the war effort. There have been contestations about the claim of the Nubian Jak Community Trust that this is the first such war memorial in Europe. It is an important correction, and it underscores the fact that this is the first in Britain, and Britain should have done that long ago. So let us remember that there is a political context to this monument and to why we are here today. That it is an indictment of the British state. And this should really be located on the green opposite the Houses of Parliament, with a finger pointing to the Houses of Parliament. Because you see, those who came and did not perish and went back to the Caribbean as invalids suffered greatly. Their welfare was not the concern of the British. So let us ensure that our children know those stories, that all white people in this society know those stories, and are able to put this wretched debate about immigration into context, and understand that the imperative we all have is to ensure that this nation understands its legacy and struggles together to right racial wrongs, historical racial wrongs. And it is in that spirit that I now pour a libation in respect of this monument and remember those who gave their lives to ensure the freedom of all of Europe, even though their own freedom remain unguaranteed to this day. For those of you who do not recognize the bottle, this is white rum. In our traditional African customs, we use white spirit to call upon the spirit of the ancestors, to acknowledge the spirit of the ancestors, to pay homage to the universal spirit of Mother, Father, Spirit, God, to acknowledge the spirit of those yet unborn in that everlasting cycle of birth, of death, of rebirth. Worry not. I'm not going to drink it all and fall down in front of you. So, praise, honor, and glory to the universal spirit of the divine God. Ashe. Praise to Egun, spirit of our ancestors. Ashe. We salute the spirit of all of those Africans who perished in both world wars, from all the countries of Africa and the global African diaspora. Ashe. We acknowledge the divine spirit and the divinity of each person gathered here, within whom the Spirit of God dwells. Ashe. We remember our own departed and ascended ancestors. Ashe. We remember all of those who in their struggles before and since those world wars have sought to bring about the liberation of Africa. Ashe. We greet the spirit of all of those who have perished in the cause of human liberation, of whatever ethnicity, of whatever nation. Ashe. We ask that the blessings of the Creator be poured out upon each and every one of us, and that we will remember the legacy of those who perished in those wars and ensure that their sacrifice was not in vain. Ashe. We pray, God, that this nation would live up to the legacy of racism that is etched into its DNA. And commit itself to eradicating racism from its policies, its politics, its structures, and the way in which people treat one another in this society. Ashe, ashe, ashe.
Some good shots.